Well, evening everybody, and welcome to Pub Quiz 60 again, back on a Tuesday evening, not a Thursday, back in its normal slot, 8 PM Tuesday, but same format as ever, so I think without further ado, we'll go straight back into the quiz. There's just a few of the rules. You might have seen those on the video that was playing as we went along. Basically, you should have a pen and paper. Then there'll be 5 rounds of 10 questions, point for each question, but then there's a bonus question in each round worth 2 points. There'll be a 20-second clock for each question, just to keep things speeding along, to try and keep the whole quiz to about an hour. So 60 points in maximum for the whole quiz. At the end of each round, there's a minute's thinking time as well, just for any sort of final answering. After 3 rounds, we'll mark the first 3, then there'll be a 5-minute comfort break. If you need to go and do anything, let the dog out, go for a drink, have a bite to eat, or catch up on the snooker, obviously, and then we'll come back after that and then do the 2 final rounds. I'll switch off the live chat that's currently live just for the duration of the first 3 rounds, and then I'll switch that back on during the 5-minute break for you to write your half-time scores and any comments, etc. But I think without further ado, we'll get on with the quiz proper. And the first round this week is music, and question 1 is: which solo artist also had UK top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby? Which solo artist also had UK top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby? Now, we'll be putting a 20-second clock per question as well, just there in the bottom corner, just to keep things moving along. But bear in mind there is a minute's thinking time at the end of each round as well for you to finalise any answers you're unsure of. But each question will have 20 seconds as well. Usually takes about an hour or so, just over for the quiz as a whole. So hopefully it doesn't eat too much into your Tuesday evening. Takes us to question 2 in music. In which city was Ed Sheeran born? In which city was Ed Sheeran born? And again, we'll have 20 seconds on the clock on these. Question 3 in music. Cliff Richard featured on 2 UK number 1s with the same title, 27 years apart. What was it called? Cliff Richard featured on 2 UK number 1s with the same title, 27 years apart. What was it called? Takes us into question 4 in music. What famous international singer and artist has the surname Goodmansdottir? What famous international singer and artist has the surname Goodmansdottir? Now, it's worth mentioning at this stage as well that, as per all weeks, spelling isn't always the most important thing. If you're marking for other people and the answer looks sort of correct, then it's worthy of the points. And that brings us into question 5. Now, question 5 is worth 1 point, and this week it is: who was lead singer with the punk band The Sex Pistols? Who was the lead singer with the punk band The Sex Pistols? Now, just before I start the timer on this one as well, I'll just mention that after question 5 in each round, there is a bonus question that's worth 2 points and is some way related to the information on question 5. So even though you might not get question 5 right, it's still important to get the information as it might help you with a bonus question. But 20 seconds on the clock for this one. Who was the lead singer with the punk band The Sex Pistols? And that does indeed take us into the bonus question on the music round. 2 points, remember, when it comes to marking this. And the bonus question for music is: how old is this singer now? How old is this singer? And we'll give you 1 year either side. So that's the singer that's mentioned in question 5. How old are they? Two points for the bonus questions when it comes to marking, and there's a bonus question in each of the 5 rounds. Back to the single point questions though again. Question 6 for 1 point. Which rival of Mozart has been accused falsely of poisoning him? Which rival of Mozart has been accused falsely of poisoning him? And again, for this one as well, it's worth mentioning the thing about the spellings. If it looks roughly correct, then it's certainly worthy of the point. Four more to go in the first round music. And question 7 is, which heavy metal group took its name from a medieval instrument of torture? Which heavy metal group took its name from a medieval instrument of torture? So again, it's just worth mentioning, if you're unsure on any of these questions, you just jot them down, or any note that might help. There is a minute's thinking time at the end of this and all rounds for you to finalise any answers you're unsure of and fill in any of the blanks. But we move on to question 8 in music. In modern classical music, what are the Christian names of the 3 tenors? In modern classical music, what are the Christian names of the 3 tenors? Now, there are 3, but we'll give a point if you get 2 of the 3 correct. 2 of the 3 Christian names. No extra bonus points if you get 3. No points at all if you only get 1. So again, 20 seconds on the clock. So, just 2 questions to go in the music round. Question 9 is, what is the band a-ha's home country? What is the band a-ha's home country? And that brings us to the last question, question 10 in music. What is the next line after this in a famous ABBA song? I don't want to talk about the things we've gone through. But what's the next line after this in a famous ABBA song? I don't want to talk about the things we've gone through. 20 seconds on the clock. So that brings us to the end of round 1, the music round. Like I say, there'll now be a minute on the clock so we can finalise any answers you're unsure of, fill in any blanks. We don't want to leave any blanks when it comes to marking. And then we'll come back and do round 2, and then after that it'll be round 3 before we come to the marking. But for the moment, we'll have a minute on the clock just to finalise anything you're unsure of for the music round. A minute on the clock. So that's the minutes thinking time up there for the first round, the music round. But like I say, there's minutes thinking time at the end of every round, so there's still 2 minutes thinking time, even if you're still a bit stuck on some of the music answers before we come to marking those. But moving on, let's have a look at round 2. And round 2 this week is British Geography. Question 1 in the category is, by surface area, what are the 2 largest Scottish lochs? By surface area, what are the 2 largest Scottish lochs? I need both names for the 1 point. No half points. And so, again, once again, 20 seconds on the clock. Again, just a reminder, like I say, there'll be a minute's thinking time again at the end of this round as well. Question 2 in geography, British geography. What is the main river flowing through the city of Cambridge? What is the main river flowing through the city of Cambridge? So hopefully this 20 seconds for each answer is enough time for you to get things done. Keeps things speeding along. Hopefully the quiz should last about an hour in total. Okay, moving on to question 3 in British geography. What city is home to Harland and Wolff, builders of the RMS Titanic? What city is home to Harland and Wolff, builders of the RMS Titanic? Move on now to question 4, which is, what sea east of Great Britain contains the Forties oil field? What sea east of Great Britain contains the Forties oil field? That takes us to halfway through the round. Question 5 in round 2. Bram Stoker's Dracula is partially set in which UK seaside town? Bram Stoker's Dracula is partially set in which UK seaside town? So 20 seconds on the clock here. And then there's one more round after this. Round 3 will follow round 2, and then we'll be marking rounds 1, 2 and 3 before we have a 5-minute comfort break. Much well needed. Perhaps go and grab a drink, open the windows, whatever you need to do. But one more round after this. Takes us to the bonus question, for round 2. Again, there's 2 points when it comes to marking this. And for 2 points, the question is, name any year in which Bram Stoker was alive. Name any year in which Bram Stoker was alive. Again, 20 seconds on the clock for this. And remembering that it's 2 points when it comes to marking the bonus questions. And that's the same for the bonus questions in all 5 rounds, giving a total of 60 points available for the quiz as a whole. And back to the single point questions again. Question 6, 1 point when it comes to marking. How many counties make up Northern Ireland? How many counties make up Northern Ireland? Four more to go in round 2. Question 7 is, what is the UK's most southerly city? What is the UK's most southerly city? 20 seconds on the clock for that one. Just 3 more questions after this in round 2. Moving on, this is question 8 in British geography. Which Channel Island is famous for having no cars? Which Channel Island is famous for having no cars? Now, hopefully, if you're unsure on any of the questions so far, you've been taking a note of anything, because there will be a minute's thinking time at the end of this and all rounds. Question 9, 2 to go. Which castle is at the west end of the Royal Mile? Which castle is at the west end of the Royal Mile? 20 seconds on the clock for that one. And that brings us to question 10, the last one in round 2. Which former page 3 blonde is regarded by some as Swindon's most famous export? Which former page 3 blonde is regarded by some as Swindon's most famous export? Again, 20 seconds on the clock for that one. So that brings us to the end of round 2, British Geography. As per the first round, we'll now have a minute on the clock just to finalise any answers you're unsure of, fill in any blanks before we come back into round 3, which will be the last one before we go into the marking of the first 3 rounds. But for the moment, a minute on the clock to finalise any answers you're unsure of for round 2. A minute on the clock. So that's another quick minute gone there. Hopefully enough time though just to fill in any gaps you might have had in the answers for round 2. But now, without further ado, we'll move on to round 3. And round 3 this week, as per the last few weeks, is a picture round again. And the picture round this week is entitled Europe. Basically, in this one, I'll be showing you a map of a country in Europe. All you have to do is tell me what that country is. There's a point for each. In the middle, there will be a bonus question as well. But we'll start with question 1 in the round 3. Simply, what country is that? What country is that? And again, we'll have 20 seconds on the clock for each question. Now, it's worth mentioning that I won't be showing the pictures again, so if you're unsure on any or haven't got an answer as of yet, it's always worth taking a picture on your phone or a screen grab so you can come back to it and look at it in the minute's thinking time at the end of the round. Moving on to question 2. One simple question again. What country is that? What country is that? And again, 20 seconds on the clock. After this round as well, we'll have a minute's thinking time, like I say, to finalise any answers you're unsure of, both for this round and the previous 2 rounds, before we come back after that minute and then mark the first 3 rounds. And that takes us on to question 3. One simple question again. Simply name that country. Name that country. And 20 seconds on the clock. Then when we've marked those first 3 rounds again, we'll have a 5-minute break for you to go and grab a chilled drink, let the dog out, grab a bite to eat, stretch your legs, watch the snooker, whatever you need to do before we come back and do the final 2 rounds. Moving on, question 4. One simple question again. What country is that? Again, 20 seconds on the clock. During that 5-minute break as well, the live chat will be back on if you want to pop any comments on, and also your scores. Get an idea of what the scores are at the halfway stage. I think anything over 25 will be a good score. Anything above 30, a very good score. And that takes us on to question 5 in the picture round for Europe. One simple question again. What country is that? That's 1 point there for question 5, but it's followed by the bonus question for 2 points related in some way to question 5. And for the Europe round, it is: what is the approximate 2020 population of this country, that's the country in question 5, to the nearest million? What is the approximate 2020 population of this country to the nearest million? And 20 seconds on the clock. It's worth remembering again, 2 points when it comes to marking all the bonus questions. So that's the bonus question for round 3, but we go back to the single point questions again. Question 6 for 1 point. Again, simply name that European country. Takes us on to question 7, just 4 to go. One simple question again. Can you name that European country? 20 seconds on the clock. Just 3 more countries to go in the picture round. Question 8, again the simple question. Can you identify that European country? 20 seconds on the clock. That leaves us with just 2 questions to go in the Europe countries picture quiz. And question 9, one simple question again. Simply name that European country. And that brings us to question 10, the last question here in round 3, the picture round. Simple question again. Can you identify that European country? 20 seconds on the clock. So that brings us to end of round 3, the picture round. As before, we'll now have a minute just to finalise any answers you're unsure of. I won't be showing the pictures again, so hopefully you heeded my advice and took any pictures or screen grabs, screenshots, if there was any countries you were unsure of. But we'll have a minute to finalise any answers for round 3, but also for rounds 1 and 2, if you were still unsure of any answers for those. Because when we come back from that minute, what we'll be doing is marking those first 3 rounds. After that, we'll have a 5-minute break, like I say, and during that, the live chat will be on for any scores and comments. And then once those 5 minutes are completed, we'll come back and do the final 2 rounds of the quiz before getting an idea of final scores, who's done well, etc., etc. But for the moment, we'll have a minute on the clock. So that's the end of the final minute now. Hopefully you've managed to get answers in for any blanks you may have had in rounds 1, 2 and 3. Because what we'll do now is mark those first 3 rounds before we have a little break. I'm not going to put the questions up on screen, I'll just go through them quickly and then read the answers out. And as I've mentioned previously, if you're marking for other people or yourself, then things for like spellings, if they're close, then it's worthy of the points. At the end of the day, this quiz is just for fun, so let's not be too harsh on spellings. But we'll go back and start with round 1, which was music. Question 1 was, which solo artist also had UK top 10 hits with Queen, Mick Jagger and Bing Crosby? That was David Bowie. David Bowie, who died back in 2016. Question 2, in which city was Ed Sheeran born? Well, the 29-year-old, worth $160 million, was born in Halifax. Halifax. Question 3, Cliff Richard featured on 2 UK number 1s, 27 years apart. What was the name of the song? Well, that was Living Doll. Living Doll, which reached number 1 in 1959 and then again in 1986. Question 4, what famous international singer and artist has the surname Goodman's daughter? Well, that is Bjork. Bjork, the 54-year-old Bjork. Question 5, who was the lead singer with the punk band The Sex Pistols? Well, that was Johnny Rotten. Johnny Rotten. John Lydon, the real name, but Johnny Rotten, the lead singer of The Sex Pistols. 1 point for that, and the bonus question for 2 points, how old is this singer now? 1 year either side. Well, Johnny Rotten is now 64 years old. 64. So 2 points there if you went for 63, 64 or 65. He was born in January 56. Back to the single point questions though. Question 6, which rival of Mozart had been accused falsely of poisoning him? That was Antonio Salieri. Salieri. Question 7, which heavy metal group took its name from a medieval instrument of torture? Well, that was a band formed in 1975, Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden. Question 8, in modern classical music, what are the Christian names of the 3 tenors? Well, a point for getting 2 out of the 3. Well, you could have had Placido for Placido Domingo, Jose for Jose Carreras, or Luciano for Luciano Pavarotti. So 1 point for getting 2 of the 3, Placido, Jose or Luciano. Question 9, what is the band a-ha's home country? Well, they come from Norway. Norway. And then question 10, what is the next line after this in a famous ABBA song? The starting lyrics were, I don't want to talk about the things we've gone through. And it's from Winner Takes It All. And the next lines were, though it's hurting me, now it's history. Though it's hurting me, now it's history. That's what follows in Winner Takes It All. So 12 points possible there in round 1 music, if you want to just keep a little note of that, and we'll carry on with the marking of round 2, which was British geography. And the first question was, by surface area, what are the 2 largest Scottish lochs? Point for getting both of them, but both of them needed for the point, sorry. And both lochs were Loch Lomond and Loch Ness. Loch Lomond and Loch Ness. Question 2, what is the main river flowing through the city of Cambridge? Well, that is the River Cam. The River Cam, 69 kilometres long. Question 3, which city is home to Harland and Wolff, the builders of the Titanic? Well, that is in Belfast. Belfast. Question 4, what sea east of Great Britain contains the Forties oil field? Well, that is the North Sea there to the east. Question 5, for 1 point, Bram Stoker's Dracula is partially set in which UK seaside town? Well, it's partially set in Whitby. 1 point, but 2 points for the bonus question. Name any year in which Bram Stoker was alive. Quite a good widespread here, but he was alive from 1847 to 1912. 1847 to 1912. So 2 points for there if you've got a year anywhere between there. 1847 to 1912. Back to the single point questions. Question 6, how many counties make up Northern Ireland? Well, that's made up of 6. You've got Antrim, Armagh, Down, Fermanagh, Londonderry and Tyrone. 6 counties there. Question 7, what is the UK's most southerly city? That is Truro. Question 8, which Channel Island is famous for having no cars? Well, that is the island of Sark. Sark is famous for having no cars. Question 9, which castle would you find at the west end of the Royal Mile? Well, you would find Edinburgh Castle there, Edinburgh Castle. And then the last question, question 10, which former page 3 blonde is regarded by some as Swindon's most famous export? Well, that's the 49-year-old Melinda Messenger. Melinda Messenger. So once again, 12 points available for that to add to the points you had from music, just to keep a running total. But now we'll go into the picture round and mark the maps. So I'll go through these quickly again. Question 1, well, that was a nice easy one to start you off, hopefully. That was Spain. Question 2, that was Iceland. Question 3, that was a map of Germany. Question 4, slightly trickier one, especially initially, but if you look closer and you can see docks and ports and shipping bays, it might have made it obvious that that is a map of Monaco. Monaco, the population of just 39,000. Question 5, that is a map of Norway for 1 point. And then the bonus question related to that was, what is the approximate 2020 population of this country to the nearest million? Well, to the nearest million, Norway's population is just 5 million. 5 million, with Oslo some 700,000 of those. But Norway, closest to million, is 5 million. Question 6, for 1 point, what country was that? That was Denmark. Question 7, another slightly trickier one. Well, that was the Vatican City. The Vatican City with a population of just 825. Question 8, long thin one there, that was Portugal. Question 9, there the map with plenty of islands. Well, that might be an obvious one, that it was Greece. And then the final one, question 10, slightly tricky, so well done if you got this one, but that was a map of Switzerland. Switzerland. So that's the first 3 rounds over. That's the possible scores of 36 available. What we'll do now is we'll have a 5-minute break, and then we'll have 2 rounds to follow after that. What I'll also do now is I'll switch on the live chat during this 5-minute break, so you can pop any comments, you'll see those on screen, and also any scores. Like I say, any score above 25 is usually a good score at this stage. Anything 30 plus is very, very good indeed. But for the moment, we'll have a 5-minute timer on here, then we'll come back and do the final 2 rounds. So for the moment, 5 minutes on the clock. Okay, so that's a quick 5-minute break over there. Hopefully enough time for you to stretch your legs, let the dog out, catch up on the snooker scores, whatever you need to do. Nice to see some scores coming in, some quite low scores this week as well, so perhaps another tricky quiz this week. Thought it might have been a bit easier, but maybe the maps one has thrown people just as much as the book covers did the previous week. So hopefully round 4 might be a bit easier. Round 4 this week is a connection round. And the connection round, similar to the last 2 weeks, there'll be 9 questions, and then the 10th question is simply to find out what the connection is between the 9. There'll also be a bonus question in the middle as well. As before, each question 20 seconds long to speed things along, and a minute's thinking time at the end. So without further ado, let's get on with question 1, which is, which gemstones take their name from the ancient Greek for unbreakable? Which gemstones take their name from the ancient Greek for unbreakable? 20 seconds on the clock there, but like I say, there's a minute's thinking time again at the end of this round. Moving on to question 2. What is the first name of the wife of former US President Barack Obama? What is the first name of the wife of former US President Barack Obama? 20 seconds on the clock. Now, all the first 9 questions do have a connection between them, so even if you're unsure of an answer, you might be able to work it out once you've got the connection. Moving on to question 3. The Greek titan Prometheus stole what from the Greek gods and gave it to mortals? The Greek titan Prometheus stole what from the Greek gods and gave it to the mortals? 20 seconds thinking time on that. If you're unsure of any of these as well, like I say, it's definitely worth putting a note in your side of your paper. You can always come back to that, and it might be easier once you've established what the connection between all the 9 answers is. Takes us on to question 4, which is, what was the nickname of trumpeter John Birks Gillespie? What was the nickname of trumpeter John Birks Gillespie? Once again, 20 seconds on the clock. Takes us into question 5 for 1 point. What relation was psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud to artist Lucian Freud? What relation was psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud to artist Lucian Freud? So that's 5 questions in. I wonder if anyone might have the connection by now or an idea of what the connection is. But still 4 more after this before the final question 10. What is the connection? Well, that's question 5 for 1 point. As ever, there's a bonus question though for 2 points related to question 5. And the bonus question for this round is, in what decade did Lucian Freud die? In what decade did Lucian Freud die? 2 points when it comes to marking this one. And that brings us back to the single point questions again. Question 6, there we are. What is the real surname of the action actor Vin Diesel? What is the real surname of the action actor Vin Diesel? Once again, 20 seconds on the clock, and 1 point when it comes to marking these. Question 6. It's only the bonus questions that are worth 2 points when it comes to marking. Moving on to question 7. Which battle was fought in present-day Belgium on the 18th of June 1815? Which battle was fought in present-day Belgium on the 18th of June 1815? 20 seconds to get an answer for that one. As per the previous rounds, though, we do have a minute's thinking time at the end of this to finalise any answers that you're unsure of. Moving on, just two more before the connection is established. Question 8. Jackson is the capital of which US state? Jackson is the capital of which US state? 20 seconds on the clock for that one. And then just one more question, question 9, before question 10 will simply ask, what's the connection? And that brings us on to question 9. What is the first name of the former Liverpool striker Torres? What is the first name of the former Liverpool striker Torres? And 20 seconds on the clock for this one. This is the last one of the connections. So after those 9 questions, we come to question 10, and that is simply to say, what is the shared connection between the first 9 answers, excluding the bonus question, but what is the shared connection between the first 9 answers? And again, we'll put 20 seconds on the clock for that. So that brings us to the end of the connections round. As for the previous rounds, well, I now have a minute just to finalise any answers you're unsure of. And if you've established the connection, that might certainly help in giving you a clue as to what the answers might be. Like I say, questions 1 to 9 all have a connection, which is the answer to question 10. So if there were any blanks, then knowing the connection might help establish what that blank is. But for the moment, we'll have a minute on the clock, and then we'll come back and do the 5th and final round, which, as all weeks, is general knowledge. But for the moment, a minute on the clock. Okay, so that's a minute's thinking time over there for round 4, the connections round. Hopefully you managed to, 1, establish a connection, and then 2, get all the other 9 answers as well. But now we'll move on to the 5th and final round, which as ever is general knowledge. And question 1 in general knowledge, what insect is the symbol of Manchester? What insect is the symbol of Manchester? Again, 20 seconds on the clock for each question here, and there will be a minute's thinking time at the end of this round. For any answers you're unsure on round 5, but also round 4. Moving on to question 2. Which football team does Prince William support? Which football team does Prince William support? And then after this final minute, we'll do the marking of rounds 4 and 5. Add your scores together from what you had earlier, from rounds 1, 2 and 3, and then I'll pop the live chat back on as well. Pop your scores in, pop your comments, get an idea of who's won this week. So that was question 2. Moving on to question 3. Who is the current Foreign Secretary of the UK government? Who is the current Foreign Secretary of the UK government? That's 20 seconds gone on that one, so we move on to question 4. Which Irish comedian and actor starred opposite Richard Ayoade in The IT Crowd? Which Irish comedian and actor starred opposite Richard Ayoade in The IT Crowd? Tricky one for pronunciation there, but again, 20 seconds on the clock. And that brings us on to question 5 in general knowledge, and it is, for 1 point, who played Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies? Who played Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies? 20 seconds on the clock for that one. So that was question 5 for 1 point. We'll now go on to the bonus question for 2 points in some way related to question 5. And it is for 2 points. How old is this actor? How old is this actor? That's the actor we referenced in question 5. How old is he? And 20 seconds on the clock for that. So 2 points for that one, but back to the single point questions again. Question 6 for 1 point. Fans of which US singer-songwriter call themselves the Fanilows? Fans of which US singer-songwriter call themselves the Fanilows? Just 4 more questions to go in the round and also the quiz as a whole. Question 7. Z and which other letter are worth the most in Scrabble? Z and which other letter are worth the most in Scrabble? 20 seconds on the clock for that one. And that takes us on to question 8 in general knowledge. What is the currency in Malaysia? What is the currency in Malaysia? And again, this is one worth mentioning, that spellings aren't obviously important. If it looks right when it comes to the answer, then it's certainly worth a point. Just 2 more questions to go. Question 9, the penultimate one in general knowledge. What is England's largest county with no coastline? What is England's largest county with no coastline? And again, 20 seconds on the clock for that one. And that brings us on to question 10, the last question in the round and the last question in the quiz. And question 10 in general knowledge is, who won the Best Actor Oscar in 2020? Who won the Best Actor Oscar in 2020? 20 seconds on the clock. So that brings us to the end of round 5, general knowledge, and also the end of the quiz. What we'll do now is have a minute just to finalise any answers that you're unsure of, both for round 5, the general knowledge, but also the connections round as well, round 4. Then after that minute we'll come back, mark those last 2 rounds, add your scores to the score you had in the first 3 rounds, and get an idea of final scores. After that, I'll leave the live chat open for about 5 minutes or so for you to write any comments on, pop your scores on as well, just to give us an idea of who's done well, what your top scores were. But for the moment, just a minute on the clock to finalise any answers. Minute on the clock, starting now. Okay, so that's the end of the minute there. Hopefully you had enough time there to finalise any answers you hadn't been unsure of in rounds 4 and 5, because what we'll do now is we'll start marking those. And we'll start with round 4, which was the connections round, and we'll go through the questions first. Question 1, which gemstones take their name from the ancient Greek for unbreakable? Well, that is diamonds. Diamonds. Question 2, what is the first name of the wife of former US President Barack Obama? That is Michelle. Question 3, the Greek titan Prometheus stole what from the Greek gods and gave it to the mortals? That was fire. Question 4, what was the nickname of trumpeter John Burks Gillespie? Well, his nickname was simply Dizzy. Dizzy. Question 5, what relation was psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud to artist Lucian Freud? Well, he was his grandfather, but more importantly, granddad. 1 point for that. Then the bonus question, question 2, what decade did Lucian Freud die? Well, he died in July 2011, so the 2010s is the answer. The decade was the 2010s, he died in July 2011. 2 points if you got that, well done. Back to the 1 point questions though. Question 6 for 1 point, what is the real surname of the action actor Vin Diesel? Well, his real surname is Vincent. Question 7, again for 1 point, which battle was fought in present-day Belgium on 18th of June 1815? That was Waterloo. Question 8, Jackson is the capital of which US state? Well, Jackson is the capital of Mississippi. Question 9, the last of the actual connections, the clues. What is the first name of the former Liverpool striker Torres? His first name was Fernando. Fernando. And then question 10, what is the shared connection between the first 9 answers? Well, if you've got most of them, it should be helpful. They're all one-word UK number 1 hits. One-word UK number 1 hits. So UK number 1 hits, we'll give the points for there. One-word UK number 1 hits, even better. But the main point is they are one-word UK number 1 hits. With Diamonds, so there was a hit for both Jet Harris and Rihanna, number 1s for both of them. Michelle, which was a number 1 for the Overlanders in 1966, back then. Fire, number 1 for the Crazy World of Arthur Brown. Dizzy, which was number 1 for both Tommy Rowe and Vic Reeves featuring the Wonder Stuff. Question 5, Grandad, that was a number 1 in 1971 for Clive Dunn. 6 was Vincent, Don McLean's number 1 in 72. Then we had Waterloo, obviously for ABBA, back in 74. Mississippi, a number 1, well done if you got that, for Pussycat in 76. And then Fernando, another ABBA number 1, again back in 1976. So they were all one-word UK number 1 hits. So 12 points available for that round as well. Well done if you got all of those. Now we go on to the general knowledge marking as well, with the final round. Question 1, what insect is the symbol of Manchester? Well, that is a bee. Question 2, which football team does Prince William support? Well, he supports Aston Villa. Question 3, who is the current Foreign Secretary in the UK government? Well, that is the 46-year-old Dominic Raab. Dominic Raab. Question 4, which Irish comedian actor starred opposite Richard Ayoade in the IT Crowd? Well, that was the 40-year-old Chris O'Dowd. Chris O'Dowd. Question 5, who played Voldemort in the Harry Potter movies? For 1 point, that is Ralph Fiennes. Ralph Fiennes, worth approximately $30 million, Ralph Fiennes. The bonus question, though, for 2 points related to that. How old is this actor? And you'll allow 1 year either side. Well, he is 57 years old, born in December 1962. So 2 points if you said he was 56, 57 or 58. Back to the single point questions again though. Question 6, fans of which US singer-songwriter call themselves the Fanilows? Well, that is for fans of Barry Manilow, the 77-year-old Barry Manilow. Question 7, Z and which other letter are worth the most in Scrabble? Well, the other one is the letter Q. They're both the same. Z and Q are worth the most in Scrabble. Question 8, what is the currency in Malaysia? Well, that is the ringgit. The ringgit is the currency there. Question 9, for 1 point again, what is England's largest county with no coastline? Well, that is Shropshire. Shropshire is the largest one with no coastline. Yorkshire is the largest one, but obviously has coastline. And then finally, question 10, who won the Best Actor Oscar in 2020? Well, the Best Actor Oscar in 2020 was won by Joaquin Phoenix for his role in The Joker. So the answer there was Joaquin Phoenix. So that brings us to the end of the quiz. Hopefully, therefore, you've managed to add up all your scores, the possible 36 from the first 2 rounds, with the 24 from the last 2 rounds there. What I'll do now is I'll leave the live chat live, up and running for about 5 minutes or so, get an idea of your final scores, any comments as well, and look forward to see what the scores are. I think any scores in the mid-30s this week will be ones that go top of the pile. That's it for this week, and look forward to seeing you on Tuesday again next week, same time, same place, so it'll be 8 o'clock. But for the moment, like I say, I'll pop the 5-minute countdown, 5 minutes timer on as well, and we'll have the live chat open for you to pop some comments on. Okay, and I'll see you next Tuesday.